Howdy everybody. Bit of wind today again, I'm sorry about that. Today I'm going to be filming a video on planting trees with a really deep taproot. Things like hickories and cold hardy pecan is actually what I'm planting today. You can get the job done with a regular shovel, but these nursery shovels are a huge benefit during this because these types of trees don't really have many lateral roots. Let me show you for a comparison. So right here, this is what we're planting right now. This is a cold hardy pecan. Oh, it's all tangled up with the plums that are in there with it. My apologies, but this is a cold hardy pecan, and there is almost 2 foot of root on it for a 2-foot tall tree. So there's a ton of root on it. It's all straight down. This is compared to an American plum, which has maybe 6 inches of depth, but probably has 8 inches of lateral root moving horizontally through the soil. So it is a bit different, but the process, or at least the concepts, are still quite similar. The main thing is that you want to be sure that you get it planted as deep as it needs to go and no deeper. You don't want to bury these things any deeper than the natural crown of the tree. The natural crown on this, I see a root right next to my thumb. Right there, you can probably see. It's not focusing, but there we go. So there's a little root there. So I would say that the crown is pretty much right at that root. So I don't want it to be any deeper than that. And I use a lot of deep mulch. So I am probably going to bury it actually a little bit shallow of that. So, sorry about that. It's a cold and windy day. But those kind of conditions tend to keep these plants nice and sleepy. Best to plant bare roots while they're completely asleep. No signs of life, no buds are awake. I'm sure if I did a scratch test that this would be alive. I trust where I bought this from enough that I'm not even going to bother though. So first things first, make sure you get your depth where you want it. Then I usually crumble the soil in as much as possible. Some people completely liquefy their soil with water to avoid air spots. I just break the soil up as much as I can. I've done this on almost a half of 100 trees already. And I pack all the way around it gently. You don't want it compacted hard, but I still try to give a pretty good amount of small granule sizes of dirt all the way around that. The goal being to leave as few air spaces around it as possible. So I've planted tons of trees this way, and what I specifically like to do, a lot of people don't recommend this. A lot of people say that it encourages the tree to not grow its root system out at all. Everyone's got their preference. But my soil's not terrible, but it's also not amazing. So I make compost teas and things like that. And I will just kind of throw in some biochar, which is just homemade charcoal that has been soaking in fertilizer liquid that I made from rotting weeds. And I will just drop my soil in, crumble everything over the top. Some people will do what I'm doing, but they will mix it thoroughly with the soil so it's consistent. I don't bother with all of that myself. I just keep doing it in layers. And I do lots of trees without the biochar, and they do just fine as well. So the technique definitely doesn't require it, but I do my best to crumble it up to a smaller granule size. I find that discourages air pockets from the get-go. And again, that's what this whole process is really about. You don't want air pockets. So I just keep crumbling soil into all the crevices I can. I'd say that's enough for me to add another layer of my activated biochar, people would call it. Some people just call it biochar, but yeah, it's supposed to last hundreds of years in the soil. There's all sorts of claims about it. I'm no scientist. I'm not going to pretend I am. They say it's great for capturing carbon in the soil so it doesn't rejoin the carbon cycle in our atmosphere, and that also makes it particularly good for the environment. Again, I'm no scientist, but there are lots of benefits to biochar. Now I've just realized, I believe that's a great big dandelion root, and I don't think there are any other trees in this area that this could have come from. So I'm just going to stick it up right like that, because I actually like my dandelions. They're great for the bees. I'm not a beekeeper yet, but maybe someday. But either way, they're great for the bees in spring. And, oh, yep, there's the actual top of it. So I'm actually going to stick that up right here too. And that will almost definitely clone into two separate plants from the one that it started as. But going by how big that is, that dandelion was probably, I don't know, a foot and a half long in the soil. Dandelions are way more impressive than people give them credit for. But yeah, I just kind of keep packing soil in. The grass I usually flip over, but I smother everything in wood chips soon anyhow, so it doesn't matter that much. Kind of getting towards the end, I'm gonna just dump in a little more biochar. Just doing my best to fill in as much as I can with as few problems and holes as I can, so that there's no air pockets. Now, the number one thing that I say is most important to solving the air pocket issue permanently is you water the hell out of this thing. You water it so much that it completely liquefies all of those little bitty pieces of dirt that I have been throwing down in here. You want it to completely reliquefy all of those pieces and let them settle in so there's absolutely no air pockets. This time around, that means that I'm going to try to soak water in about 2 feet into the soil, because that's about how far down this root goes. Some people water them in every few inches to make sure. There's all sorts of tricks. I don't baby my plants all too much. Little bit, sure, but you know, eventually they do have to just adapt. So I try not to baby them all the time. I don't do everything perfectly, but just water them in really, really well. Trees don't drown like we do. They don't drown in a matter of minutes. They drown in a matter of days. So I cannot soak this enough on this day that I kill it. There's no reason to worry about watering it too much that it kills it on this day. So I just soak the hell out of it on the day I plant it, and I let it settle, and then I'll water it again in a few more days, though the nature is going to do that for me. I've got a storm coming in about 3 days, so it'll have about 3 days to dry out and breathe, and then it's going to get soaked again. But yeah, never be afraid to overwater it when you plant it. All right, I'm going to stand up and show my handiwork, but that is a deep tap-rooted nut tree, a Northern Pecan, or a, I believe the scientific name's right there, Cara illinoisensis. Can make it all the way into zone 5. Produces smaller but higher in oil nuts, and it is, see, the tip of my knee is right on that fabric, so it's just a little taller than my knee. Alright, thank you very much for watching. As you can see, I've got a couple more trees I've got to plant today, so I'm going to get back to work. Have a great one. Thank you for watching.